Greetings everybody, Tekking101 here. Today is Bleach chapter review number 504, which marks my 50th manga review of Bleach. This occasion is nothing short of a symbol of gratitude and pride and admiration for all my fans that have kept watching me all through these, it's been over a year now. So, for this occasion, I will honor it by being the utmost dignified and, you know what, screw it, let's party, bitches! Whoa! Okay, that got a little crazy there. Where did this Pikachu come from? Okay, whatever. So, professional or whatever. I'm Tekking101, here to review Bleach chapter number 504. It's pretty epic. Okay, so continuing from the last chapter, and this is like a really big thing that I was really happy Kubo did, because in a lot of situations like this, when a big cliffhanger happens on a previous chapter, which of course is the revelation that we're about to see Chojiro's Bankai, and it's gonna, the Stern Ritter O is gonna use it to fight against Yamamoto, big huge revelation there. So, the next chapter, though, you're going to think, because Kubo does that thing where he hypes everything up, and then the next chapter we don't get to see it at all. A current example would be with the sword with Uehara. We still don't know who the hell it is. Grimjo FTW, I'm not sure. But, with this, he just cuts to the chase right away. Chapter opens up with Bankai, Kokyo Konro Riku. I apologize in advance for the Japanese terms that I'm probably going to butcher in this review, because there's a few of them. So, Chojiro's Bankai is activated by Stern Ritter O Driscoll Bursi, and Yamamoto has to stare down the wrath of lightning. Whoa, do you mean Chojiro's Bankai has the power to control lightning? Holy shit, I would have never guessed. Unless you saw the Zanpakuto filler arc, then you totally would have guessed. Yes, and that's no coincidence either. In case you're wondering about that, Kubo actually had pretty hands-on control over what some of the Zanpakuto spirits would look like in the Zanpakuto filler arc. So if that's not just a coincidence that they just lucky guessed, or maybe Kubo retconned it. Now, Kubo most likely designed Gonon Rimaru's spirit form in the filler arc, and he was intending it to always be lightning-based. Because really think about it, lightning is like a major element, and nobody in the 13 Core Guard Squads, as we know of, has the ability to control it in terms of Zanpakuto abilities. Even in the Espada, I don't think we got anything, so it's just so strange. So I'm guessing Kubo probably planned this way back of who would have the ability to control lightning. So as Yamamoto is staring down Driscoll, he gets a flashback to Chojiro when he used his Bankai against himself, and then we get the title, Bleach chapter 504, Beyond the Shadows. Beyond the oh crap, the title had shadows in it. We good? No shadow? Okay. Ever since I put the pictures up, I think... Oh my God, why? It has 1,000 teeth! Luckily for me, like every other major manga reviewer on YouTube, I keep an active grenade in my back pocket. Alright, so, continuing. So Driscoll states that Chojiro hasn't used his Bankai in over 200 years, which is of course applying since the Quincy's originally disappeared, or they thought to be died out 200 years ago, and the fact that Driscoll would even know this fact to begin with is hinting at maybe the last time Chojiro used his Bankai before in Yamamoto's office was against the Quincy's, or maybe doing, you know, you have to wonder like how exactly they went extinct. Like, I'm thinking like 200 years ago there was some big epic war against the Shinigami and the Quincy back then, and maybe the Quincy's were just fewer in number or something, but that's an interesting thing right there, that some of the Quincy lore had to be passed down, otherwise how would Driscoll even know this? I mean, I can't be sure that just stealing Chojiro's Bankai would give you incredible insight to, oh, the last time he used this, it's like a cell phone, like the last previous call was made on like 200 years ago. So he activates it, and Shuhei is standing there awestruck, and he mentions that it's the only one aside from Hyorimaru that he notices that can control the weather, whereas Hyorimaru could just control like the rain and the snow, Rimaru can control the lightning and the weather, and and in the anime he could also control the rain, but we don't really see that much in this chapter, or if we do see it, it's not that well done. In this chapter we mostly just see this big huge orb of lightning that just keeps striking Yamamoto repeatedly. Getting to that though. Okay, so we get something really rare and something that I was really hoping we would get in this arc ever since Mayuri stated, like a few chapters ago when Mayuri stated to Yamamoto, like, it's only your fault because you didn't kill that man. I was really hoping out for a Yamamoto flashback, and we get this in this chapter. It's something really interesting because we get to see Yamamoto, this has to be at least several hundred years ago at least. We get to see Yamamoto as a younger man.
I like his mustache.
So apparently the younger Chojiro kept following around Yamamoto a lot back then, calling them Eijishi or Eijashi. This is of course because of the scar over his eye. Of course, I'm not Japanese, so I'm sure this scar maybe is like a character, like resembles a character in like the Japanese kanji or manji or hiragana or something. I'm not Japanese related, but that's what they call him, and he doesn't like it. There you go. I mean, I had sucky nicknames in high school too. So apparently Chojiro's pestering Yamamoto constantly because he wants to be his right arm, or just wants to be, there, not to be his disciple, not to be his, just copy everything he does like a disciple does, or like an apprentice, but he just wants to be there to fulfill everything that Yamamoto can't do. I'm not exactly sure why Chojiro chose this path in his life. We don't exactly see that in this flashback, why he decided to follow Yamamoto, why he decided to, devote his life to him with becoming like his right arm. We don't really get that. Maybe they'll reveal it later, I'm not sure, but we don't know much about Chojiro's character at all in the present. So, learning anything about it is like something that's great for me. Like, I love this chapter just because they're focusing on a character they ignored for so much. So, you gotta call it a win there. Also, I have to notice one little thing here about the artwork style. This is something that's always changed with Chojiro's character design, and that's his eyes. When he first appeared in the manga, he had no pupils, which everyone thought he was blind, or the fans thought he was blind. When the anime came out, he did have pupils, so they thought, oh, maybe it's just an anime mistake, or maybe they're correcting the mistake from the manga. But every time he was shown in the manga after that, which was very few, but every time he was seen in the manga, his eyes still say the pupil-less. But in the flashback here, he does have pupils, but they're blanked. So I don't know anymore. I mean, I'm sure Chojiro is not blind. I'm sure they would mention that fact. But it's just interesting that his eyes just keep changing. Like, they've changed like 3 or 4 times depending on the different medium they show them in. And watch, if this arc ever does get an anime adaptation, they're probably going to screw the eyes up some other way too. So anyway, moving on. Chojiro eventually states to Yamamoto that he mastered his Bankai, and Yamamoto states to try to beat him with it. We cut back to the present where Yamamoto is still having an inner monologue about how he fought against Chojiro's Bankai, and how it was a pretty good Bankai. He wasn't able to beat Yamamoto even back then, but he was able to leave another scar over his right eye, which leads to probably the most epic stare-down panel ever, which is why I'm going to make fun of it. We continue with the flashback a little bit where Chojiro states that he's going to keep improving his Bankai so it can get better. He constantly trained for years to come, and he also, because he added the extra scar over Yamamoto's eye, his name changed from Eijashi to Jujashi. Once again, don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, don't know the symbolism in that. There was no translator notes in this chapter, so this is one occasion. If you actually want to leave a comment as to what those nicknames actually mean, go right ahead, because those nicknames, I'm actually a little bit curious about exactly what they mean. Also, if you could do a translation of what Chojiro's Bankai name is, that Kyokyo, Raikuki, was something like that, because I couldn't find a translation for that either. But, So even though his nickname changed to Jujashi, Chojiro kept calling him Eijashi just because he couldn't accept calling him by the name of the scar that he created. So at the end of the day, I guess Yamamoto just decided, I'll call myself Genryusai, which, once again, I don't get it. It goes from Eijashi to Jujashi to Genryusai. The Enjishi and the Jujishi I kind of get because they both have Jishi in them, but Genryusai, I don't get it. I really don't get the symbolism behind that. But anyway, we cut back to the present for the final scene where, for lack of a better term, Yamamoto is just constantly getting slammed by the lightning. He's not moving, he's not doing anything, but Of course, you know he's not gonna die. He's the freaking head captain. But you know, this is just a testament to his character of just how badass he is. How Yamamoto is literally standing in the same spot as he's constantly being struck by lightning. That's epic. That's like Ben Franklin if Ben Franklin was on steroids. But, so Shuhei thinks that he lost consciousness and tries to help him. Yamamoto tells him to stand back, and Driscoll notes that he's still alive after being struck for the upteenth time, so he continues to strike him again. You know what? I got some messages in my inbox. Voice squeaky. I got some messages in my inbox stating about how Driscoll appears is actually very similar to Yami in his physical appearance, and also how he can just, you know, the more things he kills, the stronger he gets. With Yami, the more rage he got, the stronger he got. So I got this, you know, really thought out paragraph of of Driscoll's character, and we haven't really seen his intelligence side yet. All we saw was like his brute force side. But this chapter didn't really reveal much. Last chapter it was, yeah, I can beat things up, and then I can get more strength after I beat things up, and then I can beat more things up. This chapter's like, yeah, I'm gonna strike you with lightning, bitch! Again and again and again. So, yeah, and at the end of it, we really don't get to... I don't think we're gonna see much more of Driscoll's character in the future. We'll get to that part, though. So, we close out the chapter with probably one of the most epic monologues ever from Yamamoto. Chojiro, you must be mortified. I understand your anger. The Bankai you spent so much time to improve was not this weak! Okay, that scene, most epic ever. I mean, we've had our share of creepy faces, funny faces, faces that make me have nightmares for a month, i.e. Zombie Rukia. This is gonna be the epic face. This is gonna be the one, I mean, this is gonna be the face I'm gonna imagine when I'm like in college taking my finals, and I walk out of the room, I get my test back, and I get like 100%. That's the face I'm gonna think of. Yeah, man! And to end the epicness of this chapter, Yamamoto burns the skin straight off of Driscoll's body. He is a pile of bones after the end of this.
We don't need no water, let the motherfucker burn!
So yeah, Driscoll's dead. We can chalk that up to 4 Sternritters that are currently being destroyed. So... yeah, like, even when the chapter started, and, like, we made such a big deal about, you know, oh, Chojiro's gonna, like, he's a fire and lightning, man, fire and lightning. Though it wasn't so much fire versus lightning as it was Yamamoto just standing there getting struck repeatedly, and then at the end just burning his face clean off. So, yeah, I love the chapter, I really did. The flashback was really helpful, and it didn't even, the neat thing about this, the flashback, too, was it was informative. We got to see, this is the furthest back I think we've ever seen in a flashback. With Turn Back the Pendulum was like 100 years. This had to be... I want to say 1,000, because just judging about how old Yamamoto is, and like in this panel, like in the flashbacks, he doesn't have any gray hair or anything. This is when he was pretty young, so, you know, I might even go to say it was maybe even 700, 800 years ago. So that's always nice to see, like, flashbacks that far back. We got to see a little bit about Chojiro's character. It worked so well. You know, even though he is dead now and deceased, we get to know a little bit about his character now. You know, I am a little peeved still about Kubo doing that. Like, he kills Chojiro off, and then we get to see the flashback of the character, which is kind of a moot point because we're not going to see the character anymore. But we saw the Bankai. That's always a great thing to know. Probably not used in such the way that Chojiro would have used it, because Driscoll, you know, clearly, Yamamoto clearly stated that it's not as powerful as when Chojiro used it against him. So, you know, great chapter. Next one, I'm not sure. We might get a little panel at the beginning of the next chapter with, like, Driscoll's body being burned into bones. Well, even more than so much is. But, you know, once again, I'd always like to jump back to what's going on with Ichigo, finally. I read something on the internet that apparently Kurji's jail cage can only last 2 to 4 hours. I'm not sure where the information from that is, or where that came from. I forget who sent it to me. But, you know, if there's a time limit on it, I'm not sure. I've pretty much, you know, talked enough about, you know, the whole cage thing. It's just Hollow Ichigo or Grimmjow saving him, or someone else is going to save him, or something else with that. Kenpachi's fight against Buckbeard, that's still going on. Don't know if we're going to know much more about that. But it's continuing the trend from the last chapter, where last chapter we had Kenpachi, who was slaughtering the Sternritters, the 3 Sternritters. Like, okay, we finally have hope. We can kill these things. This chapter we get Yamamoto completely reducing Driscoll to ashes. So we got 4 now. 4 Sternritters that have been defeated, and the hope is rising again. So anyway, this is Tekking101. Thanks for watching my videos. I hope you continue to watch them in the future. 50th chapter review. I'm going to go and, I don't know, lay down for a while. This was a pretty intense one. See ya.